Oh boy, this is going to be a little harder than I thought. But never let the lack of skill stop you from playing a musical instrument. Now, I do have the skill to play this guitar because I put time and effort into it, which means I developed a skill set which is necessary to play the instrument. That being, I need to finger the strings, and then this other hand is picking the strings. And if you're a real guitarist, you notice I have a very odd tuning going on here. But I can kind of be a fake multi-instrumentalist by using that skill set on other instruments that have strings and frets that I pick. For instance, if I want to put a mandolin part on one of my songs with some effort, or for that matter, a banjo, am I a master of any of these other instruments? No, absolutely not. But it means that the skill set that I have, I can go and play those other instruments. Now, it's not the same thing so much with cello for this reason. The cello still has strings, but the major difference is this thing right here, which has to be moved at a consistent speed at the right place on the string. But the other problem is there's no frets here to make staying in tune easy. I can play any note or in between any note, which is something you can't do on the guitar. So this is another level of complexity. So where I'm kind of faking it by playing other stringed instruments that have frets that I can pick, this is taking a whole lot more skill to be able to do cello parts on my tunes. One more thing. Now there's another instrument that I'll commonly use on my tunes, and that's the keyboard, in this case fake piano usually. And the reason I can get away with using this instrument, although I've invested very little time and effort into learning how to play the thing, is that it's the most dead simple instrument on the planet to play. For instance, if you take one finger and you select one key and finger pushes key, you get a note. That's as hard as turning on a damn light switch. Now, mind you, you can start going like, oh, Bill, the most complicated music in the world is played on that instrument. It's like, yes, you can play complicated things on it because it's dead simple to play. And you've got 10 fingers. 5 over here and the other 5 holding the camera. Holy smoke. So how much effort am I going to put into learning how to play this thing? Here's your answer. As absolutely as little as I possibly can. Because I've learned my lesson with a couple of instruments. And one being that damn cello. Beautiful instrument, but it takes this incredible investment to learn how to play. The other one, which surprised me, it shouldn't, but it did, was the drums. I was going like, oh, you just beat on crap with sticks. How hard can this be? Holy crap, is it hard to be even a vaguely decent drummer. So I have no skill with the fundamental thing that's necessary to play this, and that's to make farting noises into a great big tube. And if I invested the time to actually make a decent sound and being able to play a series of notes off of this thing, I'd be at it for half of forever, which I'm just not going to do. I've gone down that rabbit hole with the drums and with the cello. So what am I going to do? I'm going to try and just get one good note out of this thing. If I can get a couple, ones that are higher or lower, that would be even better. But if I just get one, Then what I can do is I can stick it in the computer, and then I can use my pitch correction software to just change the notes. So I copy them a bunch of times, I put the notes wherever I want, and I will have sort of a brass piece on my song. So let's see if with minimal amount of effort I can actually get a decent note and then tune it up. Or, maybe we get to the end of this video and we'll see that it's a complete and utter failure and I'll just do something else. So here we go. Okay, one really good thing about this whole process is I didn't think it was going to be easy. Because if I did, I'd already be really, really disappointed. Here's the thing. It takes skill to make good farting noises into a tube. Now, there's an Italian word, I think an Italian word for this, called embouchure, which if we translate that back into English, it means making farting noises into a tube, or more precisely, the skill set of forming your lips so that a good sound comes out of your instrument. I don't have that skill. So you hear me at the start of the note, what's called the attack, when we go from no sound to sound, is absolutely terrible because I'm trying to figure out how tense to have my lips, how much air to blow past my lips, and the sound is wobbling around all over the place. So I'm going to readjust my strategy, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start blowing into it, figure it out, get a nice even note, and then when I have this in the computer over there, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut out the good piece, and then I'm going to use that. Okay, it's literally just like 10 minutes later, and I already feel like I've been hit in the face and gotten a fat lip. Without practice, your lips just can't deal with the amount of force it takes to play this instrument like at all. So let's take a listen to what we've got so far. I was trying a higher note here at the end. Let's take a look at that. More or less what we got is this. So you see the deal is when I get started here, but now that I'm into the note, it smooths out. So the idea is to edit off the crap at the beginning, which you can see I'm doing here, and then there's some crap at the end. Listen to this. Oh, lovely. Get rid of that. But I should have some usable sound to make my little sound file from here. Teeny bit of wavering. That's okay. We want to leave some of our humanity in it, even if we're going to fuck with it in the computer. Now I tried some lower notes with less success. I think we had this earlier one I actually think was better before I blew up my lips. You hear that they're wavering in there. But. All right, guys, here is my tuba note. Let's listen to the first note. If you look at the squiggly line here, you can see it starts low and then it goes high. And this is where the miracle of pitch correction comes in. I'm going to grab this little tool and watch this line. Now it becomes much more even. So first problem taken care of. Second problem is if we look where this is, here we have D flat, there we have D. This note sits right between the two. So let's stick it up here. And let's make it into a D. So I made 8 others for the other notes in the scale. So now I got to go screw with them. Okay, here we are, hours and hours later. I'm retuning my final note, this one, down to E. And so to get an idea of what's going on here, here are my captured notes. I've got some lower ones, put them all together, and hopefully I can write a tune out of them. But at this point, I'm so sick of looking at the computer, it's time to call it quits for a bit. Okay, this has to be the weirdest way to make a song that I've ever come up with. So let's take a look on the screen here, what we got. Green up here is the high tuba part that I'm making. Blue down here is the low tuba part I'm making. In between we have purple and pink, and these are the notes that I've made, and I've labeled them all like that's A and B, C, D, E, G, no, C high, and then the pink are the lower notes. There's an A and a G and a G flat. So what I got to do is listen to this, figure out what I want the next note to be. So if I listen, let's listen to the high part all by itself. Here's the high part. And the low part, in this section I haven't done a lot of this, but we'll hear one note at least. A low note. Also, when I play the track in its entirety, you'll hear a guitar with a volume pedal. And there's also a thumb piano, one of these, going on in there. But now what I want to do on this high line here is figure out what I want these next notes to be. That note to be next. Now I have no idea what that note is because I do not have perfect pitch, so that's where the piano comes in, and that's that note, that's D. So I'm going to go in here and look for a D, 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 D. What do we got? Oh, D high. Good. So I'm going to copy that. And I'm going to paste it in here, line it up to the right place. That last little bit is called a crossfade. It turns down the volume on the last note, turns up the volume on the next note. And actually, I think if I go and I do 3 Ds here, kind of a little drony thing, that obnoxious message keeps coming up because its little computer brain says that that's necessary. So now I've just added 3 notes. So, oh, where were we before? We were here. So, and now I got to go down and work on the lower cello part. Tuba. I'm working on tuba. Hello. It is now day 3 of this project, and I am done. So, at least I hope I'm done. Sometimes you listen to things and you change your mind, but I think this is pretty good. So let's get a little listen to the first part of this. Now what you're going to hear is the transition from a cello quartet to a little handoff, a 2-measure handoff, which is a string bit. And then in's going to come an electric guitar with a volume pedal. And then the tuba parts will enter. And here's my finished tuba parts. Right there, all the notes that I arranged in the proper places to make the tune I want. So here we go. Let's give this a bit of a listen. And then it goes on for a bit more. So I'm done, except for one final thought, and that's about using the computer to do things the easy way. Now, this wasn't that easy because I spent 3 days working on this to get it the way I wanted to. Now, if you compare that to taking somebody like me who does not know how to play the tuba, to get me to play that part, at least a year, and I think even that's a little naive. It'd probably have been a couple of years to get the fundamental skill set and the rehearsal and the practice and the familiarity with the instrument to do anything like this. So in those terms, definitely way easier. The important part is that if you're going to use the computer to help you do anything, you need to make the decisions. In other words, take the musician, the human being with their human brain. This is what makes the decision. Anytime you get a piece of software that just says, hey, push this button, I'll make all the decisions for you, and then you'll have a very effective workflow, run away from that stuff as fast as you can. Because what will happen is all the humanity will be stripped out of your music. If there's a human being involved, that human being makes decisions. And that's the thing. I sat there and make every decision. I use the computer quite a bit to help me out on all sorts of things, but not the decision making. And therefore, human decisions, human music. That's it.